To start.
Okay, we start the show now. Welcome to Vision India Forum, Road to 2047 series. Palla Bhattacharya, former ADG Assam, and then he was also chairman of the Assam Public Service Commission. Vimal Vaklu, former CMD of TCIL, an avid speaker and a thought leader who speaks on subjects varied from Manusmriti to telecommunication. Pawan Kumar Bhutji, the editor-in-chief and founder of Police Public Press, a leading body working towards the convergence of these three important pillars of the society. Opening remarks, Shri Vimal Vaklu Sahab, economic fugitives in India. Where do we stand? How do we go ahead? For 2047, here we go. Thank you.
So far as the fugitives are concerned, I mean, this, in my opinion, is a new phenomena in the sense in the past, maybe 7-8 years, because earlier all the economic offenders, they would continue in the country without any action against them. The fact that now there has been a churning and all these so-called fugitives who have actually cheated the country, they have been named, and finally they found no other way out except running away from the country, escaping and becoming fugitive in other countries. That also talks about maybe success of governance. Otherwise, they would be a part of it. At the most, they would, in the past, become politicians, and then the cases against them would be dropped. There are multiple people who have been indulging in multiple scams so far as the cooperative banks are concerned, and they have been politicians in the country, and they have wealth of thousands of crores, and still politicians, active politicians, maybe nearing the end of their career, but still there. But no action has ever been taken against them. So that is simply because there was no mechanism of identifying and actually taking action against them. So it's a good sign, and I feel that gradually, with a determined government, they'll be brought back to the country one by one, and they'll face a trial. I'm quite sure it might take a while, because dealing with international law under such conditions is a big challenge. And I think maybe it'll happen sooner or later. Thank you.
Okay, opening remarks. We've also been joined by Major General Ranjit Singh ji, one of the oldest friends of the forum. Ranjit ji, namaskar. Thank you for joining, sir. Major General Ranjit Singh is there with us. Ranjit ji, आपका mic बंद है, mic on कर लीजिए. Okay, we've been joined by Ranjit Singh, and he is connecting his technical systems. Opening remarks from Pallab Bhattacharya ji. Pallab ji, economic fugitives in this country. Vimal Vaklu says it's a new phenomena. It's a decade-old phenomena. The oldest living case in recorded history in India is that of Mr. Sukumar Kurup. 1984, he murdered and then he vanished because of a poultry insurance. For that time, it was not a poultry sum. 8 lakhs was a huge sum. Insurance issue, which happened in the state of Kerala, and he's been absconding since then. And there is no record of his being alive or dead as well. So it's not a decade-old phenomena. The phenomena is as long as human memory would go. But I'm sure things coming to record, getting put on record is something which we have to refer to. So a decade-old, not exactly, but I can see that at least almost 40 years, India has had recorded history of economic fugitives as well as fleeing from the country. And 1962 extradition treaty obviously defines who all can be extradited with all countries, with which countries we can, enter into extradition. And there are not many friends in that list as well. So I with this backdrop in mind, I leave it open to Mr. Pallab Bhattacharya to take us through the opening remarks on the economic fugitives of India. The numbers are increasing, they are galloping, and the economic crisis in the banking system is getting deeper by the year. So what do we do? And here we've been joined, just a moment, we've also been joined by Mr. Vikram Singh. Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, has also joined us. He is a very well-known figure in the television sector and circuit, and he's a very well-known speaker on the subjects varied, especially considering today what we are discussing is the economic fugitive issue. Vikram Singh ji, 62 extradition treaty. It's not a decade-old phenomena. It's almost 40 years since Sukumar Kurup's case was recorded, but we're finding the cases galloping by the year, and the government is still at large, current or the previous one, or the erstwhile government, or what is the future. So we're discussing all those aspects from a fugitive perspective, but limiting and restricting ourselves to only the economic aspects and not the overall fugitives. So I take it over now to Mr. Pallab Bhattacharya to speak on the opening remarks on the subject.
My opening remarks will be this economic fugitive phenomena, though it is relatively new, but it involves a group of persons, actually, basically the investigating agency, the external media, then the country from which they are to be brought. So it is a very complex issue. But gradually we have found that since 14, actually there is some statistics with me. Since 2014 to 19 beginning, actually there are around 18 fugitives, including the August Westland deal middleman, who is known as Michael James. Actually, he was also brought to justice. But at the same time, there are so many things, because so many agencies of the government of India is involved. Therefore, there should be, and we should have better, leveraging of diplomacy and bilateral relations with the foreign countries to have a better extradition treaty. Then all those things will be required. And in the course of our discussion, I will also talk about certain provisions which the foreign countries take advantage of to refuse extradition, like prisons, etc., which I will tell in course of time. So presently, I personally feel that gradually we are developing in this regard, and with agencies like FATF coming into being, now there is a better control. And I hope that in the years to come, we can have a better thing here.
Okay, I also have Mr. Ranjit Singh. Major General Ranjit Singh is a fantastic old friend of the forum. He was University Chancellor of 3 universities as well. And he's an academician also. A very, very wonderful speaker on subjects varied. Economic fugitives, yes, long discussion. An hour long, we'll go up to till 4 o'clock. But before I go further, including the source of creation of such fugitives, why at all do we have such situations? But before that, opening remarks, General Ranjit Singh.
Thank you, Amit, for inviting me in Delhi. Get your flight very soon. But really speaking, before 2014, before the meeting in Buenos Aires, where for the first time in history, the G20 countries unanimously decided on the request of Prime Minister of India that the economic offenders will be repatriated. Nero Modi, Malia, Mel Chokshi, they all started asking, "Ye aapki Tihar jail mein AC hai?" Usse pehle nahi tha ye baat, because they will earn thousands of crores of rupees and run away. They're settled in England anywhere. But now at least there is one agreement of G20 countries. So we salute this Prime Minister at least. Now they will be scared by doing such kind of things, and they all will be coming to Tihar jail. That's why the transparency is increasing, and the amount of money which used to go to Swiss bank has reduced. So therefore, whether it is Nirav Chokshi, Mahal चौकसी या ललित मोदी
Ranjit ji, your
या
bandwidth is very
अजहर
low.
मोदी।
रंजीत जी, your bandwidth is very low. आप अपना वीडियो बंद करके बोलिए, अपना वीडियो बंद करके बोलिए।
ओके ओके। Can you hear me, Lalit ji? Amit ji, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Actually, I am in a space somewhere where I think the net problem is there. Amit ji, I repeat that before the arrival of Prime Minister Modi ji in G20 meeting at Buenos Aires, this was for the first time that at least law was made that economic offenders will be repatriated. Earlier, they would run away from this country, earn tons of money, whatever, whether it's Lalit Modi, Nirav Modi, Malia, Mel Choksi. And now at least they are scared that they will be brought back to our country as per G20 meeting agreement. So therefore, these economic offenders will have at least some law. Otherwise, nobody was brought. The way Pakistani army chiefs, presidents, they will earn tons of money and run away to foreign countries. Similarly, this thing was happening in our country. So let us hope that this thing is controlled in future. This is what my opening remark will be, Amit ji.
Okay, Ranjit ji, thank you for your opening remarks. You can switch on the video. And Pawan Kumar Bhoot is there with our editor-in-chief. Pawan ji, अब ये दिन पे दिन ये जो भगोड़े हैं, जो आर्थिक भगोड़े हैं भारत के, इनकी संख्या बढ़ती जा रही है और जो भाग गए हैं उनके आने का कोई मानचित्र हमारे सामने अभी तक खुल के आया नहीं है। हालांकि पार्लियामेंट में प्रश्न उठते हैं, प्रश्न चिन्ह उठते हैं अपोजिशन की तरफ से, और मंत्री साल भर साल बदलते जाते हैं और वो अपनी अपनी स्टेटमेंट देते जाते हैं, पर नंबर बढ़ रहे हैं। तो आपको ये भविष्य में बिफोर वी डिस्कस इट एट लार्ज टेक्निकली व्हाई एंड व्हाट एंड डूज एंड डोंट्स एंड ऑल दैट, आपको क्या अपने शुरुआती वक्तव्य में कहना है ये आर्थिक भगोड़ों के विषय में?
धन्यवाद अमित जी इनवाइट करने के लिए। आर्थिक भगोड़े हमारे देश के लिए एक प्रकार के श्राप हैं। श्राप में इसलिए कहता हूं कि जो हमारी देश की इकोनॉमी है उसको टोटल मात्र सिर्फ 1 लाख लोग ही सारा धन एकदम अपने आप में समेटे हुए हैं। बाकी करोड़ों लोग बहुत कम पैसे में जीते हैं। मेरा ये मानना है कि ये जो कुछ भी भगोड़े हैं या जो कि लुटेरे हैं या देश छोड़ के भाग गए हैं, उन सभी को लगभग सरकार का संरक्षण मिलता है। सरकारी संरक्षण के बिना कभी भी इस तरह की बड़ी घटना नहीं हो सकती। और निश्चित रूप से आज हमारी गवर्नमेंट है, चाहे वो कांग्रेस की गवर्नमेंट रही हो चाहे बीजेपी की रही हो, मैं किसी एक गवर्नमेंट का नाम नहीं लूंगा इसमें, मैं ये कहूंगा हर गवर्नमेंट ने अपने फायदे के लिए इन तरह के आर्थिक अपराधियों को संरक्षण दिया है। मैं इन सबसे बड़ा एक नाम आपको सामने शेयर करता हूं, दैट नेम इज सहारा ग्रुप। सहारा ग्रुप का कितना बड़ा ह्यूज अमाउंट है जो आम पब्लिक का पैसा है, आज वो कहीं ना कहीं पड़ा है। मैं नहीं मानता कि वो बीजेपी की वजह से है या कांग्रेस की वजह से, कहीं ना कहीं सरकार की संरक्षण के हिसाब से आज सहारा ग्रुप का इतना बड़ा धन, लाखों करोड़ रुपया जो पब्लिक का पैसा था, धन पैसा था, वो सारा का सारा पैसा आज कहीं ना कहीं स्क्रैप्ट हो गया। अब सहारा सुब्रतो सहारा हमारे साथ देश में है, लेकिन वो पैसा जो है आम जनता का पैसा है वो लूट लिया गया है। मेरा ये मानना है। उनको हम लुटेरा नहीं कह रहे हैं, भगोड़ा नहीं कह रहे हैं, बट आर्थिक अपराधी जरूर हम कहेंगे। इसमें मेरा एक बहुत बड़ा और बहुत नया सुझाव है। इस तरह की किसी भी घटना को अगर हम आगे के लिए रोकना चाहते हैं तो मेरा एक आर्थिक सुझाव है इस देश के लिए कि सरकार को एक आम आदमी या उद्योगपति या एंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए एक लिमिट का आयोजन करना चाहिए। एक अडानी 15 लाख करोड़ का अकेला बंदा वारिस नहीं बन सकता। इतने बड़े धन दौलत उसके अकेले के कब्जे में नहीं आ सकती। उसके लिए एक लिमिटेशन की बात होनी चाहिए कि एक ग्रुप या एक बिजनेस ग्रुप, एक एंटरप्रेन्योर, एक इंडिविजुअल कि एक मैक्सिमम लिमिट 50,000, 1,000 लाख करोड़ जो भी एक मानी जाए, सरकार तय करे, उसको पार्लियामेंट के थ्रू तय करे। सारा का सारा धन 4, 5, 7, 10 उद्योगपतियों के हाथ में आ जाना मेरे हिसाब से ये सबसे बड़ा कारण है जो इनकी ताकत बनती है और ये देश से रफूचक्कर हो जाते हैं। निश्चित रूप से अगर इस तरह का कोई कारण बनता है या सुझाव मेरा जो मैंने बताया है, अगर सरकार के नजर में या हमारे जो वक्ता हैं उनको अगर समझ में आता है तो हम इस पर जरूर एक चर्चा अच्छी करेंगे और निश्चित रूप से इससे इन भगोड़ों आगे की आने वाली जो पीढ़ी है उसमें इस भगोड़ों से हमें मुक्ति मिल पाएगी. आई होप सो.
Thank you, Pawanji. Vikram Singh ji, former DGP Uttar Pradesh, a man who knows the subject, I'm sure, like not many people in this country would know. And he's a man of extreme wisdom. He's a sagacious man because I've been hearing him for the past so many years over wonderful channels, unbiased channels. So I would invite Mr. Vikram Singh today to throw some light upon, economic fugitives. I mean, have we reached a state of a banana republic wherein now capitalism and being an economic fugitives are fashion statements? Vikramji, over to you.
Namaskar, Abhijit, and esteemed and distinguished panelists. This is a national tragedy that we have allowed to grass to grow underneath our feet and allowed the likes of Mehul Choksi, Nirav Modi, Malia, and others to plunder this poor country and siphon off the money to Switzerland and other safe havens. Yeah. We have the ED, we have the SFIU, we have the income tax, we have the customer central excise, but everyone seems to be helpless in front of them. Now to the question, we seem to be helpless in front of their depredations. Helpless why? Go to the depredations of Nirav Modi and Choksi, you'll find that loan after loan after loan was given, throwing all the cautions in the rules and regulations to the winds. They escaped out of this country, whereas a simple pickpocket, if there is a wanted list, he cannot move out of the country. Even to the contrary, I have a name when I go to the airport, I'm accosted by the customs and the intelligence, sir, please, I would like to. Are you the Vikram Singh who is wanted in Bhatinda? No, I'm not. I'm not the same Vikram Singh. This so much of a microscopic examination because my name matches with others. And here we give the free run to the freebooters and rascals who managed to get out of the country. Like an esteemed panelist said, this is not possible without the complicity at the deepest level. And I'm also a participant and a willing accessory to the loot. A willing accessory to the loot and also a beneficiary of the loot. Harsh and strong words, but this is not possible unless I'm a willing accessory and also a beneficiary of the loot. Now, there are certain practices, questionable though. The Chinese have a system of overlooking and overseeing such people. They have their own system. I don't subscribe to that. But yes, we have some presence of intelligence officers abroad who can oversee. I have an action plan, which I'll give you 4-point action plan. Number one, overseas identification of their assets and their bank accounts, what we do in India. Suspicious activity reporting system, both in India and abroad. Ostentations and flashing of money and lavish spending, both in India and abroad. And also, nobody can escape if the government decides to finish these depredations, what they have to do. I will not put the example of Sahara because Sahara is very much in India, but the others, they have their assets in India, Nami and Benami. They have their families and loved ones here. They have their assets here. And if the SFIU decides to turn the heat on and tighten the screws, there is no way that anybody can भागने के सारे रास्ते बंद हो जाए. एक दफा आप फैसला कर लीजिए कि आपको भगाना है या भागने से रोकना है. ये फैसला जिस दिन आप कर ले, कोई भाग नहीं सकता है. लेकिन जब हम ही भगाने के मौके देंगे, जब घर का चिराग ही घर में आग लगाएगा, तो हम किससे शिकायत करें? Amit ji.
Yeah. Very rightly said. I think you succinctly put the entire, show going forward in perspective, wherein we have to be very, very, microscopically examining the root causes of such, parasitic creations in the nation. And this is not a phenomena which is being, subscribed to by any particular government in particular. It is a case in point wherein the entire system is involved, and right from the banking sector to the the customs, CBIC, the taxes, the tax department, the CBDT, the banking department, the decision makers at the banking level, the political fraternity with whose basically kind of patronage such kind of loans are sanctioned. And then we have so many agencies, right from EOW to CBI to Enforcement Directorate to SFO, IO, and the list goes on. But despite all that, if you bear resemblance to the name, if you're a namesake as well, you are escorted and you need to be almost strip searched, if not cavity searches happen still. I mean, at the end of the day, how come such people escape, and how do such huge mammoth scams, get built over time. Now let's move to the second part of the discussion over how do we create, what is the basis of creation of such kind of economic fugitives. Vimal Wakluji, over to you.
Sorry. In my opening remarks, when I mentioned that action has started only about a decade back, the case you referred to of 64, actually, that guy became a fugitive because he had committed a murder, as you put it. Otherwise, he would have still managed in the country. Now, suppose there would have been no change of government in 2014. I'm sure that, Malia would have got more loans and he would have been still continuing with all, his regular business. The reason that it all came to a halt, because there was a halt put to the privileges he was really enjoying in this country. So that is true of many other fugitives as well. The second part is, of course, I just want to comment on what Pavanji mentioned about limiting the wealth of individuals. Now, the problem with the Indians is that we are quite smart at managing everything. If somebody limits the, wealth of an individual officially, then there'll be Benami accounts. We are quite aware of it. The place I live in, Noida, I had never imagined that I was told later that there are politicians like Lalu Prasad who has stakes in this, my society as well. He owns about 20, 30 flats here. I mean, and all Benami, nothing is in his name. So these are the challenges. I mean, basically, we can't limit the wealth in this particular fashion. And the second part is, of course, as Dr. Vikram Singh mentioned, we need to have a track of all the activities. And there I feel some technology can be leveraged, like big data analytics, wherein all there can be a 360-degree, you can say, view of where a company or an individual is earning from, what he's spending and all that, all can be automatically sort of stitched together, and some action, proactive action can be taken as is being done in many other countries. Thank you.
You see, I would agree to what Mr. Vimal Baklu said. Pawan ji, हमें ये याद रखना है, ये जो आज हमारा जो वार्तालाप है, हमारी जो ये चर्चा है, वो कैपिटलिज्म के विषय में नहीं है. ये है कि हम लोग किस तरह से ये भगोड़े बना रहे हैं और इस तरह के जो हम राक्षस अपने तैयार करते, kind of the demons that we are creating on inside our economic territory. What is the basis and what is the nexus between the political and banking system, or the capitalism that is being created through black money? What are these mechanisms? Probably somebody like Pallab Bhattacharya could speak about that. What creates such big demons, in the society as far as these fugitives are concerned? Because they become fugitives after they become demons. It's not that they run away just because they have to run away.
As the previous speaker told, I personally feel that our system of banking, when we give loans to somebody, actually it is not very properly monitored. Actually, this is one way how we can keep a tab on those things. And my previous speaker told about leveraging technology. That is very, very important, particularly in this age of artificial intelligence. We should be able to do that in a proper manner. Though the financial action task force is there, but even then some doubtful transactions which take place in a bank or something, that should be immediately be reported. I don't know how this system is working, because during my time, during our time, we had a very closed door meeting with the banks also, on this issue. Actually, I personally feel that if all the stakeholders come to the same platform and with political blessings, actually, we can stop this menace. And the one speaker also told about our control there in the foreign countries also, where those people are moving around. Monitoring of those people like it is done in China will be a great way forward, I personally feel.
Ranjit ji, Quattrochi, some light on defense and how things nexus is also built between this globally spread agencies with the Indian authorities, and how such big mammoth scams get unearthed after years, and they are almost irreparable till to date.
Amit ji, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Amit ji? Amit ji, really speaking, just 2014,
कैमरा बंद कर दीजिए, अपना कैमरा बंद कर
70% defense equipment
रंजीत जी
was
कैमरा बंद कर
imported.
दीजिए, रंजीत जी कैमरा बंद करिए.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, beta, please go on.
Actually speaking, before 2014, 70% of defense equipment were imported from foreign countries. And that's where, with the help of the government consent, these people were minting money with the consent of the government. I will not name the government, neither these fugitives. But after that, at least an attempt was made by the Honorable Prime Minister in Buenos Aires कि भाई इनको रोको और वो दूसरा country मदद करेगा. Whether it runs to England, there's a binding on England that Malia, Mehul Choksi, Nehru Modi, Dalit Modi, they have to be turned back to India. That's why they're asking कि तिहाड़ जेल में AC है कि नहीं है. पहले तो ये था ही नहीं बिल्कुल. So what I agree with Vikram sir, with the consent of the government, whatever government is working, they had given a chance. They had given a chance to them to leave the country. First they'll make money, and then they'll run away, and they'll enjoy the perks, everything, and they won't come back. But now at least one law is there in G20. Parallel to this, what the other speaker had said, there has to be strict laws in the parliament. I know most of the parliamentarians won't agree because they themselves are corrupt of highest order. Whether somebody's name Lalu or Mulayam or whatever, Atik, such a gunda mafia, thousands and thousands of crore rupees, is enjoying perks, can kill anybody. So he's not less than Mehul Choksi or Malia. So therefore, strict law has to be passed in the parliament, whether it's defense deal or the others. A particular limit ke baad, they cannot go out of that. Abhi to limit hai nahi. Some of the speakers said, Adani, second richest man in the world. How can he become so rich without the consent of the government? He can't become so many contracts. Therefore, Adani has to be stopped, whether it is Suez Canal or is the Hambantota port. I know both the projects are in favor of India because Hambantota, China is already there. Or ऐसे दूसरा बोल, he's running the world business. But Adani has to be controlled. His income has to be controlled. Likewise, अगर हमने बाकी का income control किया होता और strong law होते और government ने इनको बाहर नहीं भागने दिया होता, they wouldn't have run away, Amit ji. Otherwise, this will continue to happen in future as well. They'll earn money, they'll run away from here. Thank you.
Subrata Rai, as was brought out by Pawan Bhutji, was ordered by the Supreme Court in 2014. If I remember correctly.
2014, yes.
14. Yeah, for detention because he failed to comply with the orders of the SEBI and he cooperated with the SEBI investigations. Today we see the same situation wherein SEBI at least has given 6 months more breathing time to Mr. Adani in the same almost similar situations. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind that Mr. Vikram Singh had pointed out that he is still in India, and this gentleman, after a few years in the jail, was released on parole in 2016. And since then, he's at large with respect to the authorities, and the entire system is cooperating pretty well, and the birthdays are being celebrated like never before. So don't you think basically Mr. Malia, Mr. Choksi, and probably the 80% Gujaratis who are out of the 40-50 odd list, who are in the economic fugitive list of the government of India, they would have been better off staying back in the country instead of running away, because the system is abysmally at their disposal. Vikram Singh, over to you.
Thank you very much. We have created an ecosystem to facilitate the dirty and the crooked. You very rightly mentioned about Subrat Rai Sahara and also the others. Sukesh Chandrasekhar is another grotesque example, paying bribe to the tune of 1 crore cash every day on a daily basis. On a daily basis to meet the heroines, meet the wheeler dealers and do whatever he wanted to do. You see, one learned speaker has mentioned that they escaped because we facilitated their escape. Who are the accused in Augusta, Westland? I would not take names. 3 His Excellencies. 3 Excellencies. What more can you expect when you have such high-profile people who are the accused? Will they not facilitate the exit and the loot and the plunder? After the loot and the plunder, they will facilitate their running away and becoming a fugitive. Adam Gondavi has very lucidly explained, जो काम डेलहाउसी न कर सका वो ये हुक्काम कर देंगे, कमीशन तो दो, ये देश बेच डालेंगे. This is exactly what we have seen the scene. Now, the positive signs are the Buenos Aires Accord, that yes, there has to be a concerted roadmap to ensure that the extradition and also repatriation of these fugitives of justice is ensured. And which has happened, which has also happened. We also got in case of hardcore not fugitive who have been a financial outlaw, but Abu Salem was brought back. So was Abdul Karim Tunda and others. But yes, the screws have to be tightened and also the deal has to be turned out so that it is difficult for them. जिसको कहते हैं कि हिंदुस्तान का दुश्मन कहीं भी सुखी ना रहे. That is what the one-liner I would like to suggest to the policy makers.
I would like to bring in, anybody can probably guide me on this, but probably Pallab. Pallab has been in touch with.
Amit, is just one point.
Haji Ranjit ji, Haji Ranjit ji.
Just I forgot to mention one point I want to mention. You will be surprised, just this year only, Adani had taken over the contract of Suez Canal, which China was to take over. So he had 5 times the bid of China. ये money कहाँ से आएगा? Who permitted him to go like this? So Adani ऐसे देश को बर्बाद करता है. Same Hambantota Port. China is already taken over Hambantota Port for 99 years lease. But उसके side में India is also developing a port for Sri Lanka. So therefore, it is we who promote these rascals. I'm sorry to say. Otherwise, this thing would have happened. Thank you.
I'll now, Vikram ji, अगर हो सके तो थोड़ा कैमरा ऑन कर लीजिए, please. Pallab ji, I was going to ask you something to throw some light upon, because you have extensive experience. You have extensive experience handling various agencies, and your colleagues have been working with so many agencies over time, and they have been in very top positions. I'm sure you'll be able to tell us as to how come with so many agencies, right from the Enforcement Directorate to SFIO to CBI, Financial Intelligence Unit, Customs, CBIC, CBDT, Central Economic Intelligence Agency. I mean, you name it. I mean, you have so many agencies working parallelly. Despite all these, I mean, where is the problem that these things in an age of artificial intelligence and data analytics, as was being pointed out by the Honorable Finance Minister yesterday, day for yesterday, that in an age of AI and data analytics, these offenses, if they are still happening, taxes are being evaded, money is being laundered, there is PMLA happening across length and breadth of the country. The banking, you can see, I mean, not a single banker has appeared, because to say, we extended an invitation to almost all top bankers of this country. Nobody either has the guts to attend, neither they have the gumption or the kind of a nationalistic fervor to probably depute somebody to represent the the national interest in terms of creation of this nuisance which is happening. And the basis, definitely banking system's failure is one of the most important basis for such creations. And then the failure of the agencies, the question which was pointing to you, what do you think leads to such huge institutions failing altogether completely? Is it just that they all are reporting to the political master who basically allows and gives an order that, the person has to be let scot-free? And henceforth today we have a situation when these things are happening, and there is no real silver lining that we can see in terms of the real big offenders who have come back, except for a few very, very small prawns like, the Kalras and the Bhatias with 10 crores or 40 crores of, siphoning of funds. So what do you think leads to the failure, collective failure of the entire bureaucratic machinery?
My personal opinion, I will give. My personal opinion is that all these agencies which you have referred to, all the intelligence agencies, others also, it appears that they are working in silos, and proper coordination among them, which has been done in case of intelligence sharing, I personally know that. So in a single platform, there should be constant cooperation and coordination between these agencies. And secondly, there should be political willing actually to do such thing, because as some of the speakers have already told, there is a political blessing on these fugitives from some point of time. So long as these two things, I mean, agencies working not in silos but in complete coordination, and secondly, blessings from the political boss on these fugitives should be stopped forthwith. I personally feel that because of these reasons, actually all these things are happening.
You see, like we have in the case of the security issues, we have a national security advisory position created. We have the same thing happening with the CDS, which now takes care of all the three forces. That is the reason why the institution was created. And why can't we have a single agency, just like the CDS or the NIA or the the NSA, which can regulate all these agencies, which take care in silos. Out of the many other work, the economic fugitive issue also, they keep, handling, and then they keep reporting parallel to various ministries. It's not that they are reporting to the same ministries as well. I mean, somebody reports to corporate affairs, somebody to finance ministry, somebody to home affairs. I mean, exactly that is one big problem. Creation of a single institution directly should be reporting to the Prime Minister. Only then we can, with conviction, say that the government's will and the mouth, they are in sync. Now, I will bring on board, again, Pawanji, media, public press और क्या पुलिस, इसमें आप तो मीडिया चलाते हैं, आपको क्या लगता है कि कोई भी विशल ब्लोइंग की हम लोग एपिसोड्स क्यों नहीं देखते हैं? क्योंकि अचानक से तो ये 100 किलो का RTX, सरहद पार से पुलवामा नहीं पहुंच जाएगा. सिमिलरली अचानक से 10-20 करोड़ से सीधा 7,000 करोड़ का तो ये स्कैम तैयार नहीं हो सकता है ना सर?
थैंक यू थैंक यू. पॉलिटिकल जो उनके जब तक पूरे बेनिफिशियरी नहीं होते, वो जब तक कि ये काम नहीं हो सकता, ये मेरा बहुत बहुत स्ट्रांग वर्ड में कहना है. 10 करोड़ से 700 करोड़, 700 करोड़ से 7,000 करोड़, और भी बड़ा कुछ भी हो सकता है ये. और ये जो आपने कहा कि 100 RDX एक दिन में नहीं पहुंच जाता, इसके लिए पूरा एक हमारा जो सिस्टम है, जो करप्ट सिस्टम है, जहां पर हमारे लिकिनाज हैं, जहां पर हमारी कमियां हैं, जहां पे हमारे करप्ट लोग बैठे हैं, चाहे वो पुलिस में हो, चाहे एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में हो, चाहे पॉलिटिक्स में हो. ये एक नेक्सस है. नेक्सस की वजह से ही आज ये ठग हमारे देश का इतना बड़ा धन नष्ट करके निकल गए हैं. आज हमारे ये जो मोहल चेकुसी हैं, चाहे और जिनके भी नाम आप ले रहे हैं, 10-12 जो बड़े भगोड़े हैं, विजय माल्या हैं, इन लोगों ने हमारे देश का बंटाधार किया. लेकिन इनके करने की ताकत आई कहां से? ये ताकत आई हमारे ब्यूरोक्रेट की तरफ से, हमारे बैंक मैनेजर्स की तरफ से, हमारे जो पॉलिटिकल पावर्स है उनकी तरफ से. और आज हमारे देश का लाखों करोड़ों रुपया जो लेकर के गबन करके विदेशों में ऐसो आराम की जिंदगी जी रहे हैं, आज इनको कहीं कोई लॉ काम नहीं करता, कोई एक्सटेंशन पॉलिसी काम नहीं करती. और आज देश की आम जनता, अगर मैंने कोई कार का लोन लिया है, 5 लाख रुपए का मेरा लोन है, और वो लोन अगर डिफॉल्ट होता है तो कार लेके चले जाते हैं फिर 3 महीने के बाद बैंक वाले। तो आप सोचिए आम आदमी का जो पैसा है, हमारा बैंक का जो पैसा है, वो इन लोगों को गैर कानूनी तरीके से दिया जाता है, बहुत बड़ी संख्या में दिया जाता है। मैं बार बार कह रहा हूं कि एक लॉ ऐसा बनना चाहिए अपने देश में कि किसी भी कीमत पर एक आम आदमी को, एक कंपनी को, एक इंडिविजुअल को एक लिमिट होनी चाहिए। 5,000 करोड़, 10,000 करोड़, 20,000 करोड़, 18 लाख करोड़ का एम्पायर खड़े करने की पावर हमारे देश में जिसने दिया है वही गलत लोग हैं, वही गलत लोग हैं। और हमें उस नेक्सस को खोज के निकालना होगा, तब जाके इस ठगी को हम रोक सकते हैं। यस अमित जी, over to you.
General Rao, thank you so much. Lieutenant General Gamula Rao is there with us. Despite his excruciating engagements, he's managed some time to managed to squeeze out some time. We've got 15 minutes left with the show. General K. Rao, the point that was being made before you joined in was, I mean, this entire nexus from the banking system to the political nexus to the nexus with all the 25 agencies that are working towards restricting or hindering such kind of economic offenses to be created or being built over time doesn't happen suddenly at the blink of an eyelid. It happens over time. For example, there are economic offenses wing, ED, CBI, the financial intelligence units. I mean, you name it, CBIC, CBDT, and so many ministries working together. But despite all that, how come a Vijay Mallya is created, a Choksi is created, a Nirav Modi is created, Lalit Modi is created? How come this Sardesaria is created, or Sanjay Sarai is created? I mean, these are the names which we know. Probably there are thousands of names which you don't know. So what helps create such systems? Probably now even as Ottavio Kotrachi or whatever is pronounced as. I mean, in the defense sector, after those incidents, today, do you think after the creation of the CDS seat, do you think that the creation of such issues, at least from the defense perspective, will be prohibited or restricted to very rare few cases in the coming few years? Or do you think such an important sector which has opened up considerably over the last few years gives more opportunities in the wake of the absence of extradition treaties and right-minded politics? Do you think that such opportunities will become larger by the day? General Kamula Rao, your opinion.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry for this. I was in a different meeting. But now coming to this issue, as far as defense are concerned, I personally feel that you don't get to see so many cases for two reasons. Most of the purchases are of the FMS route. That means the government takes charge of most of the imports and purchases. So one of the reasons why you do not hear so many cases in defense is that, and second thing is, I think there are far too many checks and balances and foolproof systems in as far as defense acquisition are concerned. I'm not saying that defense is the holy cow, but certainly when you compare it to the other economic offenses in the same area, defense certainly is less. But now coming to the basic issue, I think the previous speaker, Mr. Pawan, I think has spoken just as I was joining. He summed it up beautifully. More important, only point which I wish to add on is, I think the stringent laws and the time taken by the laws to bring the people to the book, that also gives leeway to people say, Ariyar, jab tak, by the time the case comes up for hearing, the investigations carry on, whether she's right or wrong, I do not know. Like recently we heard about one of the MDs of company, some lady, Chandra Kochar, or some lady, IDBI Bank or one of those Axis Bank or something like that. But if at all the investigations are going to take so long, and there are for that matter, firstly, I think the minute there is a doubt, the law should be enforced in such a fashion, it should start working as a deterrent. But whereas the laws and counter laws, of course, while we talk of justice cannot be denied to the innocent, but at the same time, we are stretching the other side too far. By the time the thing is investigated, by the time a person is brought to the book, the political intervention, the courts taking their own time, people finish their entire life. Investigations are over and the whole thing is that. Whether it's Vijay Mallya and XYZ, because the government that being chair right now wants to get after them and wants to extradite, get hold of the person and get him back to the country. But otherwise, I think laws are one of the weakest and investigations. Otherwise, the laws are very clear. You cannot give without any guarantee. You cannot give loans without such and such conditions. There is an surety which is required. As far as conditions are concerned, they are very clear. There are some people who are the dark sheep who go into this thing. They try and find loopholes in the law. And when they find loopholes, if the person is brought to the book the soonest and not XY from top to bottom, like I'll give you an example in defense. I still remember sometime in 2008, I wrote a letter to that time Mr. Anthony, defense minister. On what reason? I said, look here, we are having certain deaths which are taking place because of certain faulty ammunition. When the gun barrel bursts, then you have a death. So I said, we had deaths for the last 4 years, 5 years, and we need to bring the people to the book. If at all the ammunition manufacturing factory, I said you need to trace out the culprits. If at all the checks and balances, somebody is supposed to ensure there's so much of quantity of ammunition which is supposed to fill into that, so much of TNT which is supposed to fill into that. What is the quality of steel which is supposed to be there? There is a quality assurance which is there. Until unless you bring the people to the book and make scapegoats and make real examples to be seen by the people. You see, in armed forces, we have something. Somebody is committed a mistake. Somebody is punished. Let's take a battalion or a regiment. You know what happened? The first thing, firstly, we firmly believe justice delayed is justice denied. Justice should never be delayed. If a person is found guilty, like let's take a case of the what do you call that General PSK Chaudhary and party who were involved in some particular thing, right? People who are brought to the book, one, they are punished immediately. And we have something known as announcement in the battalion. That means if a person is punished today, that very afternoon, there is a Sainik Sammelan sort of thing. All people are made to get together. It's announced that this chap has committed this offense and he is being punished for this. The message goes down to everybody who is there in that battalion to say that such and such mistake is committed. So one is punishing the people timely. Thereafter, the message must go down that the people will be punished soonest. And innocence, of course, will not be punished.
General, I'll have to limit this to because we are towards the last 6 minutes of the show. I understand what you're trying to tell us is that the judicial process needs a lot of reforms. Yes, a few days back, we were talking about the encounter issues, but we all agreed. In fact, of the record.
Just 1 minute only. I'm sorry. I'll take only a minute. I see the point of time. Tehelka. The Tehelka issue. General PSK Chaudhary, Major General PSK Chaudhary, who is no more, he got punished, thrown out within a matter of 3 months. Whereas the judicial system of late, I think Lakshman was also a politician, one of the politicians involved. It took years, 20 years. Sorry, I just gave an example. Thank you.
That's okay from a judicial perspective, but I'd like to, in the interest of the paucity of time, I'd like to bring back the discussion to the main topic, economic fugitives, dedicatedly. I mean, sometimes somebody was telling me that the CVC, the Central Vigilance Commission, is quite adept at protecting the secrecy of the whistleblowers in the public domain, especially with respect to issues in the public domain. This was told to me by Mr. Sanjay Kothari, the erstwhile CVC, in person. And same time, I feel that such issues from the banking perspective we should have a commission. If it is there, fine. If it is not, we should definitely look at suggesting to the government a commission, something like a CVC, which can take care of whistleblowers from the bank perspective, because that is where you cannot restrict capitalism being created or capitalists being created, because investment, capitalism, growth, probably they are inextricably linked. But at the same time, the systems and the processes that are being followed to create such capitalists and capitalism have to have the checks and balances which are followed in letter and spirit. And then if that can be nipped in the bud, if it can be nipped in the bud, it will take care of the issues going forward. But if the problem cannot be nipped in the bud, and then we have lacunas which hide behind political will, then those lacunas in the system from the institutional perspective, hiding behind the political will and all that, will be something which will go on as a systemic kind of a cancer. As of now, this is a cancer, but surely if this continues, we are not really far from this becoming a diabetes, which is full blown, and not only one part of your body will become cancerous because of the weakness in their entire system. The entire body will start having cancer across all your organs. So I'll now bring in for the closing remarks. Ranjit Singh ji, आपका क्या कहना है? ये extradition भी हमारी weak है, treaties नहीं है, systems weak है, banking में कोई regulations नहीं है. Even the people who went out years ago, they have not been brought to book. And there are stories that we keep hearing about the Malias and the Modis, and although hundreds of Gujaratis, probably most of them are Gujaratis, I'm sorry to say, I mean, that or the Mundras or the Marwadis who started this probably post-independence, So what do you think is the future going forward, Ranjit ji? Do you think that
Amit ji, can you hear me?
Future?
You can hear me, Amit ji?
Yes.
Amit ji, some time back you had mentioned about the CDS. Now, in real sense, you made the first General Rawat CDS. I had personal interaction with him a number of times. But क्या CDS का सुना इन्होंने? डोभाल जी उन्होंने? They spoke about Agniveer. I also mentioned about Agniveer. So, जो लेटर में पॉलिसी डिसीजन देते हैं, क्या वो पनिश करते हैं? अभी CDS का स्टैंडर्ड डाउन कर दिया. क्या CDS का कोई रोल है? Is he having any role in purchases for defense equipment? I doubt. Therefore, Nirav Modi, Malia, Mehul Choksi, ये लोग corruption करते रहेंगे. Adani भी करता रहेगा. Unless rules are strict, they are brought to book. Like General Rao said, within 3 months, you punish the bloody fellows, but except the political class and the bureaucrats. Not a single one so far has been punished. Unless we punish them simultaneously, Amit ji, these fellows will keep doing this.
पवन जी, आपके शेष वक्तव्यों में आप क्या रखना चाहेंगे?
मैं सिर्फ बार बार यही कहूंगा कि अगर हमारे देश को ऐसे और ठग नहीं चाहिए, तो हमारी जो पॉलिसीज है वो बहुत स्ट्रांग होनी चाहिए, ऑनेस्ट होनी चाहिए, ट्रांसपेरेंट होनी चाहिए, और जो भी हमारे देश के पॉलिटिकल और जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर के लोग हैं, उनको अपने देश से अगर प्यार है, तो हमारा देश का जो बहुमूल्य पैसा है, इस तरह से किसी भी आदमी के हाथ में बड़े संख्या में नहीं जाना चाहिए. और जब तक एक ही आदमी, मैंने फिर कहा कि 140 करोड़ का देश है, बट सारा का सारा धन मात्र 1 लाख लोगों के पास है. 1 लाख लोगों ने पूरी की पूरी देश की जो संपत्ति है उसको कब्जा कर रखा है. बाकी सारे लोगों को आप देख ले, कहीं कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. किसी के पास 50 लाख, किसी के पास 5 करोड़, 1 करोड़, बट सारा का सारा धन जब एक ताकतवर आदमी के हाथ में आ जाता है, तब इस तरह की ठगी होने की गुंजाइश बहुत बड़ी बन जाती है. मेरा ये मानना है कि हमारी देश की पॉलिसीज में कुछ चेंजेस होने चाहिए कि ये आगे से और इस तरह के ठगी करने का और देश छोड़ के भाग जाने का जो इनके जो तरीके हैं, उस पर बहुत कड़ाई से रोक लगी जानी चाहिए. और निश्चित रूप से ये बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग विलिंग पावर ऑफ द पॉलिटिकल पीपल्स एंड आवर पार्लियामेंट, इसके ही कारण से संभव हो पाएगा. मैं इसकी उम्मीद करता हूं आने वाले दिनों में.
Now I go to Pallab ji, your closing remarks on the subject.
Acha, my closing remarks will be in a bullet point type. First is leveraging diplomacy and strengthening bilateral negotiations. That is very important. Secondly, there is a very landmark judgment in European Court of Human Rights that the poor condition of the prisons is they equate with human rights violations. So we should also show to the world that our jails are well equipped and they're very good. And secondly, when we have problems with a particular country regarding the fugitives, we should also fully understand the laws of the land in those countries. Our people should also study those things, and it should be in conformity with that so that extradition becomes easier. So these are the 3 points which I think that I will highlight regarding this, what is the way forward.
Okay, Vaklu Saab, your final closing remarks from Vimal Vaklu, avid speaker on subjects varied from Manusmriti to telecommunications.
Well, Amit, as Pallab ji has rightly mentioned, that we need to improve upon our jails, because that becomes a big excuse for these people not getting extradited from all these countries like United States, United Kingdom, and other places. For that to happen, I think there has been a lot of debate in the country, and of course, I'm not sure whether on your channel also, that all the under trials need to be sort of those who have completed the you know their you can say the period which is more than the actual punishment which they would have got for their crime, they should be let off. I mean, this is very important if you want to declutter the jails. The jails are in a mess because of overpopulation in the jails also. That is a major reason for that. So if we actually remove all of them who for petty crimes have been in jail for 30 years, I think the jails also can be improved. This is an idea I just thought I'll speak on. Besides that, as I've already mentioned, we need to leverage on technology also to do that. But the most important thing is that we also need to punish people who have enabled their process in the first place. For example, those people who sort of gave loans after loans without security to Vijay Mallya and other people, just because Prime Minister gave them a call that hone do. So that is not acceptable. They should be, all of them should be punished. And similarly, people who let them go away, like at customs or wherever. So all these people, if people for negligence are punished, I think things can be set right, because then people will not trust politicians as such. They'll be sure that at some point they'll be punished, and hence that will really prevent them from sort of towing the line of the politicians. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaklu Saab. It has been a good discussion in an hour's time with no bankers having the guts to appear. I mean, we sent as I told you, we sent the invitations to so many bankers personally as well, but none of them has ever had the guts or the gumption to even depute somebody. But at the same time, we need to understand that this is a very serious issue. Out of so many big issues, this is an issue which should be taken very seriously by the government of India, and Mr. Modi has to walk the talk when it comes to really getting the people back, from the countries with whom at least we have the treaties in place, especially considering India's diplomacy and India's diplomatic dance has been in the news for quite some time, wherein Mr. Modi and now Mr. Jaishankar has been created with a lot of positive reforms from an international diplomatic perspective. And this being the G20 presidency year, wherein we shall be hosting 20 countries, we should ensure that at least the G20 countries, absolutely inarguably agree with us that this nemesis has to be taken care of with mutual cooperation and in a timely manner with objectivity behind it. And the institutions should be ready, including the judiciary, to take care of actions in a timely manner, a fast-track manner, so that the confidence of the people is restored in the entire system when it comes to an issue as sensitive as money, and when it comes to an issue as sensitive as public money, when it comes to an issue as sensitive as 2014 and India being a global superpower, because 47 and India being a superpower, because if money siphoning keeps happening, people taking advantage of the system lacunae and the gaps, then at the end of the day, all the efforts that the political system makes, all the effort that the hardworking Indian makes shall go in vain. Thank you so much. See you again. We'll have another wonderful discussion.
Amit, just one sentence, Amit, just one sentence. In
Sir.
spite of your best jails, best systems, CVCs, etc., in place, until unless the fear is there in a person that he will be caught soonest, he will be brought to the book soonest, he will be punished soonest. If that fear doesn't exist, all our peripheral issues which are extradition, all these things will come much later. The basic thing is that within the country, the fear must be there of law. The fear must be there of doing the wrong thing. Thank you.
General Rao, you put this because you were not in that part of the discussion. When we had discussed this with respect to Subrata Rai of Sahara, 2014, Supreme Court got him detained because of not following the issues of the SEBI. 2016, he got the parole. He's at large. And even today, you know, we keep hearing about the lovely birthday
Yes.
parties that he's throwing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.